I'm not going to give you a choice, I'm just going to give you the speech that I prepared. But I will start by apologising for the fact I'm losing my voice. There's nothing I can do about it, so we'll carry on. And I will introduce myself by saying that I run Labour for a Public Vote, which is one of the Remain campaigns, and obviously we've been active in the Labour Party primarily, with Andrew and many others in the country, working to shift Labour's position from where it was when we started almost 2 years ago, with Labour very much refusing to take a position on Brexit because they feared, doing something that would act against the interest, or look as if it would act against the interest, of their Leave voters, and to where we are now, with Labour being the only major party that is committed in all circumstances to a second referendum, with Leave and a credible Remain, with a credible Leave option and Remain on the ballot. Remain is very credible already, which is great. And I think, in my mind, I've thought this the whole way along, and I still think it, a referendum is the only way to end this. So this is not a party political event, but I personally don't think that the Lib Dems' current position of just revoking Article 50 is a credible position, because if you just revoke, of course the Brexiteers will forever be saying, we did not outwork the result of the referendum. It wouldn't end it. We have to end it, and you can only undo a referendum with another referendum. I presume both of you in the place agree, but anyway, maybe you don't. That's my point of view. Anyway, what I want to talk to you about this evening is a bit of an overview of where we are, but then also to think, well, what can we do next? Because we are all agents in this. We all have a role to play. Some of us, like me, I get to do this for a day job, which means I pretty much never stop thinking about Brexit. So imagine how fun that is. But at the same time, it's a privilege that I have a little bit of agency in attacking what is happening in our country and trying to get us back on a decent path, as indeed do all the people on the panel. But actually, if I can say one thing tonight, is that all of you also have a role to play. And let that be a hopeful thing rather than a terrifying thing. Because people like me, we can't do it on our own. And I think one of the lessons from the last referendum campaign is that it can't be done by white men in suits telling the rest of the population what to do. Because understandably, last time round, the rest of the population looked at white men in suits and telling them what to do and thought, we don't like you telling us what to do, we're going to do the exact opposite. So next time round, we have to make this difference. Anyway, I'm skipping forward to the end of my talk, so I'll start off again. My first point, though, it is a hopeful point, is that we have everything to play for. We are living through dark times in our country. We are in dangerous times, and things are already pretty bad politically, and if things go wrong, things could get a lot worse. But at the same time, we have everything to play for. And that's for a few reasons, really. One is that over 3 years on from the referendum, we're still in the European Union, and we can celebrate that, and that is for two really important reasons. One is that Brexit is pretty much an impossible project. Now, if they'd done what they said they were going to do in the referendum, and just moved from the political project to the economic project, staying in the single market and the customs union, you can do that. It's a complete waste of time. It doesn't get you anywhere. All it means is that you lose sovereignty, you have no say, and you have to obey all the rules that are made by other people. So people like Stephen Kinnock that earlier in the year were arguing for that. My response to them is, well, why on earth would you want to do it? Because A, it's a waste of time, B, it actually still costs quite a lot of jobs and has a hit to our economy, and C, we're living in a country that at least half the population is adamant that they want sovereignty, and if you just give away our sovereignty, they're going to be even more angry. And one of the things that I want us to do on the Remain side is work not only to end Brexit, but also to bring the country back together. And that is a big ask. But we're certainly not going to do it by making the other side angry, by not giving them, by making worse what they think is already bad. They're wrong, we already have our sovereignty, but they don't believe that. So the other thing is that, so essentially what I'm saying is that they failed. They failed to put Brexit through. They've gone for a really hard form of Brexit, but essentially the Brexit they want is impossible. As Mike was saying, you can't leave the customs union, the single market, and not have a border in Ireland. And you're right, he's right that Boris Johnson doesn't care about Ireland or care about Northern Ireland, but what he's done is back himself into a corner. In doing that, the government has said no to any sensible deal. They've said they will only accept a hard deal on no Brexit. They've said they will, read my handwriting, they said they won't cut Northern Ireland off from Great Britain. and that they said they will remain committed to the Good Friday Agreement. All of those things can't be true. It's impossible that they can do all of those things. So, how did we get here? Essentially because Brexit is always an impossible project. So I'm just skipping around my notes. The Brexit they want, which is a hard Brexit, which is effectively a no-deal Brexit, we're not going to get there for a few reasons. Firstly, because Parliament won't allow it. The Good Friday Agreement makes it illegal and it makes it impossible. And this is why Johnson has effectively not really been negotiating seriously with the EU. He can play active negotiating, but we all know that he hasn't really been negotiating at all. And in fact, Theresa May made the same mistake right from the beginning of playing more to the right wing of her party than actually entering into a serious negotiation with the European Union. Essentially, that's why we're here now, because this is about internal Tory party management, which has clearly failed miserably, rather than thinking about what's actually best for the future of the country. Johnson's only way through is a hard Brexit government, which is why he's so adamant in wanting a general election. That's why he's positioning for the Leave vote and trying to win lots of Leave voters back from the Brexit party. That's why he's been very happy to throw out 21 soft Brexit MPs from his party so that he can re-select our Brexit candidates in those seats. And that's why he's trying desperately to get a general election. And like Andrew, I think if we can do one thing, not giving him what he wants, which is a general election, is absolutely the right thing to do. And that's difficult because of the political pressure, because of the media pressure, and because at least some of the MPs in Parliament, they actually do want a general election to happen, regardless of the consequences. The SNP are pretty keen to have a general election, but that's mostly because they're ahead in the polls in Scotland right now, and the Alex Salmond trial is going to come up in January. That's probably going to hit their standing in the polls in Scotland. So they're thinking about themselves to some degree, rather than thinking about the rest of the country. But as Remainers, if our goal is to stay in the EU, not giving Johnson a general election is completely the right thing to do. So I fully agree with Andrew on that point. So as a result, Johnson won't care about the EU rejecting his offer. He won't care about the soft Brexit Tories standing down from Parliament or losing their seats if we get to a general election. And he won't care about having to ask for an extension either. If he can win a majority, he can then make no deal happen. And he knows there will then be a hard border in Ireland. And he knows that will endanger the peace process. And it's embarrassing that our government doesn't care about Northern Ireland and the EU and the Republic of Ireland governments do, because Northern Ireland is our country. But it's also actually quite sickening that we've got a government that genuinely doesn't care if the killing starts and the carnage starts in Northern Ireland. And there are a number of things in all of this that when you think about them in isolation, actually are really quite deeply unpleasant about where we've ended up. And I think if there's a number one, maybe that's the number one. We've got a government that thinks, fine, the country, that bit of our country, they can just go back to war and killing, and we don't mind because we just want trade deals, and we want no workers' rights and no environmental protections. So this is not normal politics. So moving on, what should we do? So we're in a bad situation, but we've got things that we can do to get out of it. So despite the Brexiters' failure to make Brexit happen, I think the main thing we've got to realise is that we've got a challenge ahead of us. It's not impossible that they will get what they want. It's not impossible that Johnson will win a majority. I've seen lots of polling done by lots of different Remain organisations, and it's definitely possible that if he unites the vote on the Leave side, and we don't unite the votes on the Remain side, that he could win a majority. And then he not only gets no deal through, he also actually just turns our country into a very, very different place 5 years from now. Their failure so far to get Brexit through does not mean that we will in the end win. I wish it did, but I don't think it does. So what are our challenges? Most foundationally, we've still got to win the argument for a second referendum. We've still got to win the argument for Remain. The country is not convinced. When you look at the polls, it's shifted a little bit towards Remain. Remain's now on 53 or 55% to 45 or 47% Leave. But actually that's pretty much within the margin of error, and that's before a campaign properly started. So we cannot be complacent that we're going to win. Last time round we lost a 20-point lead. This time round we could definitely lose a 5-point lead. And even though Brexit is so awful in every way, and in no way does it offer anything good that will make anybody's life better in our country, we still haven't beaten it. And And that's actually our failure as campaigners. And I say that about myself as my failure as a campaigner as well. We haven't beaten this patently awful thing. And we need to really consider why that is. I think that's for two main reasons, two very simple reasons. We haven't got the right messaging, we haven't got the right messengers. And this matters because we've even got to get to the point still of getting a referendum agreed, and then we've got to go on and win it. But we have to win it convincingly. I think if we win it 52-48, we could well be back here 5 years from now. We don't want that. We need to win it 60-40, and that again is a big challenge. The first case for that, obviously we need to win the case for people's votes for a referendum in Parliament, but we've also got to win that case in the country. And I think in doing that, we need to recognise we're asking people to do something they didn't enjoy first time around. Lots of people don't like being forced to think about politics. And in the referendum, they were forced to think about politics for 6 months straight. We've now continued that for another 3 years. So we're asking people to do something they didn't enjoy first time around. And I think if we're going to do that, we've got to set a vision of something that's better, that's beyond the referendum. We've got to paint a picture of a better future in the European Union rather than out of the European Union, to make people think it's worth going through that again. And so far, I don't think we've painted that positive vision. So how do we do that? I think it's going to have to involve all of us. Last year, I was talking to Hope Not Hate. I don't know if you've ever heard of them. They're an anti-hate organisation, obviously. They're anti-racism, anti-bigotry, and particularly anti-conflict between people from different ethnicities. And they're truly inspiring in what they do. Last summer, in summer 2018, they did focus groups among voters across the country, possibly here, I don't know. They excluded people who were particularly passionate about Remain and people who were particularly passionate about Leave. And so they just spoke to people in the middle. One of the main things they found, it shocked me then, and to some degree it still shocks me now, they found that most people in the country were really angry towards the Remain campaign in 2016 because they saw it as arrogant, they saw it as elitist, they saw it as rich people, white people in London telling them what to do. People who lived in places like this thought, what are you doing telling me how to live my life, telling me what's best for my life, because you know nothing about me. They saw Cameron, they saw Osborne, they saw other Remain campaigners saying, I know what's best for your life, follow me. And this was after 6 years of austerity. So it's no wonder that they looked at them and thought, you don't understand my life, why should I listen to what you have to say? But what shocked Hope Not Hate, and what shocked me last summer, was that anger persists. There are lots of people in this country who are still angry towards Remain campaigners, just because they're Remain campaigners. So they're kind of pre-wired not to listen to what people like me have to say, or Andrew. And that's a real concern. So if we're going to win next time round, we're going to have to realise we have to do it through different messages. We have to get people involved, people like you. We've got to get people involved who are local, the communities that they're speaking to. We need more women, we need more ethnic minorities, we need more old people, we need more young people. Because if it's just people like me, then we're not going to go anywhere. Because there's those people, whatever I say, they won't listen to what I say, because I'm wearing a European Union badge and my job is a Remain campaigner. And I know that, and that's why one of the reasons is trying to get more people involved. And we also have to think about our messaging as well. Our messaging next time round, it can't be like last time. And one of the things that terrifies me is that there's a group of Remain campaigners who are literally saying, we did Project Fear last time, we just didn't get it right. Next time round, let's do Project Fear and just max it up to 11. If we do that, we're going to lose again. Because when Osborne was saying, you're going to be worse off, either people didn't believe him, or they thought, I don't care, because I don't like the way that the country is now, I want it to be different. I want change. And actually that desire for change, at that point, after 6 years of a Conservative government and austerity, at this point, after 9 years of that, of course people want change. They should want change. And on the Remain side, we have to get the message out, you were right to want change. Our country has to change, but not like this. We've got to offer change, but make it a real change and a better change. A change about the NHS and about schools, and about young people's futures, and about housing, and about transport, and about all the other things that people care about. And we can't just be wearing EU berets and saying we love the EU and we've had peace for 70 years. Because when you're struggling to feed your kids 3 times a day, or when your kids, your older kids can't get a job, or when you can't get an appointment at the GP, those are the things that you think about. And the idea of another European war doesn't even enter your head. And the idea of workers' rights might not even matter to you. And the idea of environmental protections or collaborating with other people to stop climate change, it won't matter because you're thinking about the day-to-day. You've got to have an answer, yes, about the aspiration of peace and stopping climate change and all of these things.